All right, Ronan MMA, welcome back to the channel. Now, I know the story's a few days old, but after Saturday night's fights, I immediately went online following Bryce Mitchell's walkout fight and his post-fight speech because I wanted to see the reaction of people, and I kind of had an idea of what it was going to be, and it was exactly what I expected. Everywhere that I looked, I saw negative comments about him, talking about quote-unquote conspiracy theories, talking about how he's an idiot and dangerous, and questions about whether or not that kind of language should even be allowed. Now, it all started, of course, with his walkout. He came out to Richmond, north of Richmond, which is a bass song. Hey, dude, I live in the country, and that song slaps. It just does, dude. I don't care if you like the words or what. But the people that are insane progressives talking about how that's like a tribute to slave owners and things like that are absolutely mental. Okay, that's one. Two, when his name's being announced, he reaches over the cage, holds up a Bible, and screams freedom like the based individual that he is, okay? And then in his post-fight speech after beating Dan Ige, goes on a bit of a tangent, and that is what most people are focusing on. Now, there were some people that were absolutely criticizing him walking out with the Bible, which is insane to me, and it's completely hypocritical, and I'll get to that in just a little bit. Something that I don't understand, okay? Just full disclosure, I am not religious, even a little bit. I never have been, not growing up. I haven't been up until now, and I don't plan on it in the future. However, I could care less what you choose to believe in, and I am not going to criticize your beliefs or criticize you for it unless you begin to encroach on me, or if you're like attacking me personally through words and things like that, using your religion as like an attack vessel, which does not happen very often. But when it does, it is certainly not the Christians, okay? But we'll get to that later. I just don't care. I don't care. I could care less what you choose to believe in. And again, I'm not going to criticize you for it. I would never just shit on somebody for their beliefs or whatever, okay? As I said, unless it's going to directly encroach or attack me or the way that I live or anything like that. Now, something that I want to touch on that has me unbelievably confused is the response to Bryce Mitchell compared to certain other fighters that I will talk about a little bit later in the video. But I first want to show you guys a few sections of articles that were written about him post his Dan Ige fight, and then I'll go over what's got me a little bit confused, okay? And again, this wasn't shocking to see. This was almost exactly what I expected, but it's just crazy to me that they can be so hypocritical and contradict themselves almost everywhere they speak. Now, the first article that I want to talk about, or it's just a section of an article, which I will put up on the screen, is one written by MMA Junkie's Mike Bone. And I do apologize. This guy, if I'm not mistaken, is Canadian. So on behalf of all Canadians, I apologize for breeding somebody like this, okay? But I am going to read this section of the article for you guys as it's up on the screen. And then I have a few points that I want to go over regarding this article now. Quote, where things get dicey is in the aftermath of the fight. Then Mitchell starts speaking about the devil's influence on the world and parroting outlandish conspiracy theories about the Hawaiian wildfires. Okay, I gotta stop right there. Hold on. I'll keep reading. Essentially forcing Hawaiian native Ige to stand by his side and listen to all. Mitchell said he would donate $5,000 for Ige to help support those harmed by the wildfires, which in a vacuum is a nice gesture. In a vacuum, it's a nice gesture. How about it's a nice gesture? Point blank period. You don't need to add the qualifier that in a vacuum it is a nice gesture, but regardless, we will move on. In the overall scheme of what Mitchell delivered in his post-fight interview, though it doesn't overshadow the many highly, my bad dude, having dyslexia moments, suspected things that came out of his mouth. Thankfully, Michael Bisping was in the cage interviewer and prevented the scene from going too far off the deep end. Okay, but this is the Mitchell experience, the Bryce Mitchell experience. Put a camera in his face or a microphone in his hand and live with the consequences of what's to follow. Okay, dude, what consequences? That he donated $5,000 to the fucking Hawaiian wildfire people? Like, geez. The UFC isn't ignorant of what it has in Mitchell, pardon me. He's going to say some wild stuff and some potentially dangerous messaging behind it. But, given this is an organization where free speech is encouraged, fucking good, dude, and the punishments are few and far between, when people actually do cross the line, it just rolls off the back of the viewers, and we move on to the next thing, end quote. Fuck you, Mike Bone, from MMA Junkie. I can tell that you're Canadian by certain even if I didn't know that you were Canadian before I recorded this video, after a certain part in that whole spiel there, I would be able to tell because that's something that a lot of Canadians expressed over the last 3 years. However, let's just get right to it, okay? Talking about, it gets dicey when he talks about the devil's influence, which is, or at least shouldn't be, controversial, even a little bit. There's satanic shit everywhere throughout pop culture, okay? And I'm not even religious, as I just stated a few minutes ago, but you literally had a rapper who was lap dancing on fucking Satan. I don't understand how this is controversial even a little bit. Satan, like, satanic shit is everywhere. It just is, dude. Now, if you care about it or you don't care about it, who cares? Like, I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? Some of it is whatever. But if you're somebody who's religious and you see all this shit, then it's pretty damn clear that it is, okay? Also, something that I've learned or heard from certain people talk about religion in general is that if you are not somebody that wants to take the Bible literally, look at it more metaphorically. And by Bryce Mitchell saying that the devil's influence, like Satan's taking over the world and shit, if you just turn that into a metaphor and talk about Satan being evil, then there are plenty of things that you can see across the Western world that have been changing, and in my opinion and the opinion of many others, are absolutely evil, okay? Encouraging children to get rid of body parts is pretty fucking evil if you ask me, eh? I don't know, but, you know, maybe I'm just insane or outlandish, right? The next part I want to touch on, outlandish conspiracy theories, okay? I would bet my last fucking dollar that Mike Bone has never taken a single minute to look into the outlandish theory, which, by the way, I can't stand that he adds 2 adjectives before the word theory. He says outlandish and conspiracy, just so that everybody at home reading knows that this is absolutely fucking lunacy, which is just bullshit, okay? I wonder if he would say that to all of the Native Hawaiians. There are plenty of them, okay? It's obviously not all of them, but there are a ton of Native Hawaiians who absolutely believe the things that Bryce Mitchell were saying. It appeared to be a pretty blatant and right in your face land grab, okay? That's what a lot of Native Hawaiians think, because it was land that they were refusing to sell for a very long time. All of a sudden goes up in flames, and before the rubbish, the fucking rubble, all of it, the fucking whatever, dude, is even cleared, before it's even all fixed and shit, the governor's already talking about how they are going to acquire that land. At the very least, it's insensitive and fucking evil, because he's trying to now take opportunity. An opportunity has, at best, he sees an opportunity to grab that land. At worst, what Bryce Mitchell said is true, and what many Hawaiians are also saying is probably true. Now, moving on. Thankfully, Bisbing stopped him from going into the deep end. Like, yeah, okay, dude, praying is really going into the fucking deep end, eh? As if we haven't seen countless... Okay, dude, look, I'm not fucking shitting on you, guys. Countless Muslims wearing their furry fucking hats or whatever they are, okay? Praying when they win a fight. Some of them praying together. It happens all the fucking time. Religious paraphernalia is everywhere, and not just with Christianity. I don't understand why it only is the Christians or Catholics or whatever, the majority religion in the West. I don't understand why they get shit on, whereas none of these motherfuckers would have a bad thing to say about Habib, Islam, Hamza, all these fucks. None of them would say anything bad about their religion, about them praying to Allah in the cage after a victory, about them giving Joe Rogan a fluffy hat even though he's not Muslim, okay? I'm not saying fluffy hat to be disparaging. I don't know what the fuck it's called, alright? I don't understand, dude. I just don't understand. Now, this part is how I sincerely know that even if I didn't know he was Canadian beforehand, reading this bit, I understood immediately. Quote, the UFC isn't ignorant of what it has in Bryce Mitchell. He's going to say some wild stuff with potentially dangerous messaging behind it. Can somebody please explain to me what was dangerous about what he said, okay? But anyways, but given this is an organization where free speech is encouraged and the punishments are few and far in between, this is how I know he's Canadian. You want the UFC to punish people for things that they say in the cage, yeah? That's what he's asking for. That's the kind of shit that happens here in Canada, okay? We don't have free speech like you do in America, even though that's probably the most important aspect of having a free society. We have multiple hate speech laws. There are definitely a bunch of things that you cannot say, or you will be put in front of a human rights tribunal, ultimately end up probably paying a fine. But like Jordan Peterson said a long time ago, what happens if I don't pay that fine? What happens if I don't agree with your definition of hate speech? Okay, because it's fucking bullshit. But where was I? When people actually do cross the line, it just rolls off the back of the viewers and we move on to the next thing. Okay, this motherfucker guaranteed this dumb piece of shit was saying this exact same thing about their fucking holy shots that didn't work. Okay? I guarantee that he was one of those people that were upset by, quote, mis and disinformation, which is an absolute buzzword that Justin Trudeau just fucking spews out at random times, okay? Happens all the time. He was probably getting mad at people who were posting stuff from other experts who didn't agree with what the fucking experts on TV were saying, okay? It's insane to me. I can't believe that he's honestly advocating, or he's not advocating, but he's fucking hinting at it, that people should be punished for things that they say in the cage, okay? Like, yeah, no shit, dude. Free speech is... It's an American company, dude. And it's probably, as I said, the most important part of having a free society is free speech and freedom of expression. And in case the government tries to encroach on that, you got the Second Amendment, which we also don't have in Canada, okay? So, don't let that shit go. Pussies, man. Bloody elbows turned, okay? Fucking guy, dude. I'm gonna read some shit from this idiot, okay? Quote, it would be easier to chalk up Bryce Mitchell's rejection of the last 150 years of scientific study and theory on evolution of man up to his religious upbringing and education if it didn't coincide with so much of other nonsense that the UFC featherweight tends to spout off whenever given a chance. Okay, I'll fucking decipher that, because what this asshole just said is the last 150 years of scientific study and theory, which means their best guess. Their best guess. It's not scientific proven facts. Their best guess is what he just said. They have study and theory. They don't know for sure. And if anybody tells you otherwise, they're fucking lying to you. That's why it's theory, you fucking muppet. This is why the gender shit gets me so fucking riled up. It is not a proven fact. It is a fucking theory. It just is, dude. And it's one that I don't agree with. You know what I mean? So fuck off with that shit. Whether it's a belief that COVID-19 was manufactured by the U.S. government, that they so-called try and take our guns, or that the Earth is flat and the moon landing was fake, Mitchell has shown repeated willingness to jump into the conspiracy meme of the moment. NASA's fraudulent. The UFC featherweight wrote back in April, they're evil. That's why their logo is the tongue of a snake. They make up lies like Big Bang and moon landings because the elites don't want you to worship God. Okay, so I don't agree with everything Bryce Mitchell says. I just don't. Something that drives me crazy, though, is that they will lump in things that should not be considered a conspiracy theory, things that have actual fucking evidence behind them, like clear as day facts and evidence, like that COVID was fucking overblown and bullshit, and that the government took a complete and total advantage of it and all this shit, and they'll lump it in with shit like flat Earth, because to most people think that... Most people think flat Earth is crazy. They just do, okay? I don't care if you believe in it. Fucking whatever, dude. It doesn't harm me. And I'll get to that in a second. They lump it in with that shit because they know, 90% of people think that shit's crazy. Whereas there's a bunch of people that think that COVID was bullshit, but there's also some people that are on the fence. So if we lump it in with all that other crazy shit, they'll be like, oh, it's one of those. Do you know what I mean? It's not. So fuck off. They shouldn't even be called conspiracy theories, but either way, like, it's insane to me that they just fucking... Also, not trusting the last 150 years of study and research or whatever, study and theory. Yeah, well, the last 3 years showed us all some pretty goddamn good reasons as to why we maybe shouldn't trust science all the fucking time, hey? Perfect example of it. So many people have lost trust in our scientific institutions. So many. And it's not our fault. It's not conspiracy theories' fault. It's their fault, okay? Because they shouldn't be speaking in absolutes. They shouldn't be telling you things that they don't know for a fact, that are just theories, that are just studies. They don't fucking know, but they're so egotistical and they don't want their own work to be wrong that if you question it, you're labeled a fucking nutcase. This is literally... I don't know if anybody knows what the fuck I'm going to be talking about here, but Graham Hancock Dude had a bunch of theories about Egypt and shit like that, and he was absolutely lambasted, ridiculed, criticized, whatever you want to say, for maybe decades, okay? And then it turns out that he was right about all of it. People were literally attacking his all of his work, and it turned out that he was correct, and now they have to kind of admit that, okay? And now he's got a Netflix show and all this shit. Like, this happens all the time. Scientists are proved wrong all the fucking time. This should not be in the same category as some of the other things that were mentioned there. Also, dude, who was the guy that started NASA? I bet you fucking retard at Bloody Elbow couldn't tell you that, okay? Because it definitely, if it's not evil today, was at one point. Now, moving on, dude. Okay. To me, dude, I just can't stand it. What I want to question these guys on is, like, what danger came from the things that he said? Because ultimately, he said a bunch of stuff that a bunch of people may disagree with, but ultimately what happened? Ultimately what happened is he ended up donating $5,000 to the fucking Hawaiian wildfires. Like, ultimately what happened? Don't focus on what he said, focus on his actions. And that's why I don't fucking like to criticize people who think and believe different things than I do. Because what are their actions? As I said earlier, I'm not going to come after your religion unless you directly encroach or attack me, because then it's affecting me, and that's your actions, not just your words, right? Whereas Bryce Mitchell said a bunch of shit that a bunch of people don't agree with, and then he donated $5,000. Focus on that. That's the action. He's clearly a good person, whether or not you agree with his politics. I don't understand how all of a sudden political beliefs, religious beliefs, make you a shit person if you disagree with it. I disagree with progressivism because I believe that that's a religion, and it's shit. And the reason that it's so easy for me to attack on a regular basis is because they are constantly trying to encroach on many people's way of life that do not agree with their bullshit theories. Okay? That's why I would criticize it so openly. Nobody, either way, dude, I'll move on. Okay? I don't understand, man. We have seen people walk in the cage with crosses constantly. Constantly. Nobody says shit, but a book crosses the line. There's, as I said earlier, religious paraphernalia fucking everywhere. People walk in with the fluffy hats, they pray to Allah, they do all this shit, people fucking kiss the cross and whatever, dude. Dude brings a book and wants to say a prayer, and all of a sudden it's a problem. It's insane to me, dude. It's insane to me. Or how about, this is a weird one, and this is why I put it at the end of the video, because I would imagine a whole lot of people aren't listening at this point. When you were allowed to walk out with flags, because the only reason you're not is because of the Russia-Ukraine conflict, or at least that's my understanding of it. When fighters were allowed to walk out with flags, and I'm not shitting on these fighters individually, because I get that they're just representing their home. But Li Jingliang, Zhang Weili, all of the Chinese fighters walking out to a flag that literally represents millions and millions of innocents being fucking starved to death, okay? That flag was created in 1949. Chairman Mao was in power in 1949. That flag was created it's a communist flag. It represents millions of deaths. Millions and millions and millions, okay? Horrible shit. Nobody bats a fucking eye when someone walks into the cage with a Chinese flag or Chinese colors or anything of the sort, okay? It seems only the outspoken people get shit on, and again, only the primary majority Western religions like Christianity and things like that. Michael Chandler, okay, is extremely religious. We all know this, which I would imagine comes with that some very traditional conservative beliefs, okay? But he's not outspoken about them. Media loves him. Every time he has a fight, every time he has a post-fight speech, every time he does an interview, they fucking love him. They're all buddy-buddy with him, nice as could be, because he's a polite individual, and he doesn't express his views and opinions. I wonder if Michael Chandler were to tell everybody at the fucking media scrum that he was extremely against abortion and things like that, how they would then treat him after that, because it would be funny to see them flip on a dime. Anyways, dude, fuck these whiny bitches, man. I can't stand it. I can't understand how you could criticize Christianity and not do the same for Islam. And I am not sitting here criticizing Islam, but what I am saying is that if we're talking about atrocities that have been committed, or the way that they go about things today, right? there's no argument that Christianity, in my opinion, is worse than Islam. If you're somebody that is focused on that sort of things, there's just no way, in my opinion. So I don't understand why these Muslim fighters walking into the cage, praying to Allah, alhamdulillah, whatever the fuck they say, all this shit, don't get criticized, yet some guy walks in with a cross and a Bible, and he's enemy number one. It's nuts to me, alright? So, anyways, dude, like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. I'll see you at the next video. Bye-bye.